Hello, everyone. Welcome to the fourth and final Vernacular Spotlight video screening. My name is Lucy Letterhandler. I am the curator here at the Art Gallery of Southwestern Manitoba, and I am pleased to be presenting this video as part of our supplemental programming for the exhibition A Prairie Vernacular, which is up until March 13th. This series features local artists talking about their life in the Brandon region, their artistic processes, and their inspirations. If you think of the exhibition as a whole pointing out of a prairie's accent, this series narrows it down to a special Brandon accent. If you missed any of the previous spotlights, I really encourage you to go look them up on our YouTube channel and get to know Jerry Oliver, Chris Reed, and Dwayne Claridge. But now, I am happy to feature Weiming Zhao. Weiming is one of Brandon's most celebrated landscape painters, despite being self-taught. He taught English in China before moving to Brandon 30 years ago to get a degree in psychology from Brandon University. He has shown his work in galleries all across Manitoba, including here at the AGSM with a solo show called Chasing the Vista of Brandon in 2010, which you can see here. He has also been a painting instructor here at the AGSM several times over the years. This year, he put out a 2021 calendar through Weber Printing, but I didn't get here to Brandon in time to grab a copy, so I hope it's something that he's going to be keeping up for my own sake. He has had quite a life, but I'll let you tell him in his own words. Let him tell you in his own words. So please enjoy this Vernacular Spotlight.
Okay, I am Weiming Zhao. I was born in 1960 in the far northwestern China and grew up there. And it was not until I was 30 years old I moved to Canada from China in 91. I'm at the drawing studio of Art Gallery of Southwestern Manitoba. I'm right now looking out of the window at the intersection of 8th Street and Rosser Avenue, and looking at the view, which is basically framed by a 2 block of a street. Actually, both are historic site. So I'm going to spend maybe an hour or two to paint what I see. So I'm just trying to block. So since the light will go very, very fast, I bet paint very fast. So I lived in Canada for 30 years. I grew up in the very isolated part of China, which is far northwestern, which shares border with former USSR, Soviet Union, and just 100 kilometers away from the border. It was a very isolated part of China, and the climate is almost identical to prairie here, except very mountainous, and outside of the mountainous area is a huge Gobi Desert. And later on, I moved to eastern part China, and in the middle of the 80s, and I never went back to my hometown. And I taught college, high school for a total of 10 years. And before I finally uprooted myself and left China and came straight to Brandon, Manitoba. I'm a landscape painter. I don't use the word artist. I paint predominantly in oil. When I started 17 years ago, I tried a different medium. I tried oil, I tried watercolor, I tried acrylic, and eventually I decided to stay with oil. The reason is very obvious. Oil paint is the most versatile of all the medium. And because the fact that I paint mostly outdoor, I need something that can sustain any kind of weather. I started when I was very young, like early teenagers in China. And at that time, it was in the heat of a cultural revolution in China. So the education system was collapsed. There's not much going on in school. So painting is escape for me. I painted many years, but really I have never had any formal training except when I was a young teenager. I was close with a few good friends who were all interested in painting, and also I have some sort of a family influence, and the two of my uncles are professional painters. Both are professors of fine art in Academy of Fine Art in China. But they didn't have a chance to teach me a lot. I just basically paint on my own. The way I paint, because I always paint outdoor, you cannot start by focusing too much detail. And the shape and the form is all I need. So I'm just trying to block this block of street with a major shape and form. I don't want people to see exactly what I'm painting right away, because that is actually not a very good sign. That means you start from detail too early, too specific, and then you'll be running out of time. When I paint, I focus mostly on the light. And I believe if you can paint the light, and you can paint anything, it doesn't matter. And also that's why I'm interested in outdoor painting, because that's a most wonderful, exciting place to observe how light shaped the form, make everything interesting. So whatever view you are exposed to is defined by light. No light, there will be no color. Well, I enjoy winter painting so much. Actually, my favorite season actually to paint outside is actually winter, you won't believe it. But winter paint times, when I paint outside or painting directly from life, it has a huge challenge. Of course, the element of the cold, and the paint, oil paint, will likely behave very differently. The winter is, for me, is the time to paint the dramatic change of the light. I moved to Canada in '91, and I spent my first 4 years as a university student at Brandon University. After I graduated in '95, my family finally were able to come to join me. That was almost 5 years of a separation without any much of a contact with my wife and daughter, because at that time it's very difficult to get them here. So imagine 5 years, the only way of communication is through the real letters, because at that time there was no internet, not even a landed wire phone in China yet. When I hold my brush, probably notice even the smaller brushes, I hold it at the very end of the brush. I try to hold my brush like a music conductor's holding their baton. I realize if I hold my brushes too low, like this, I started to fussy about the detail. And also, if I hold my brush like this, it actually limits how much my arm will move. I lived in Brandon, Manitoba for almost 31 years now. So in a few more months, I calculated I would be living here more than any place for in my life. So I'm very much identify myself with Canada as a whole, Prairie, Manitoba particular. I painted so much over the 15 years. If I close my eye, I almost can paint everything just from my memory. And also the prairie landscape appeals to me more than anywhere else. Canada to me is more like a home than China now. For the past few years, I've been back to China a few times. And you won't believe it, I don't feel like much to paint there unless I have to. But as soon as I come back to Canada, I just automatically feel like painting again. Maybe that's a sign. No. this is my home now, after 30-something years. When you paint from life, it's like you're carrying on a dialogue with the nature, and you want to say so much, and then when you feel that there's not much you want to add anymore, that's the time you call it a finish.
You know, there are as many kinds of artists as there are people, but there are two kinds in particular that have always perplexed me a little bit. They're the ones who make art constantly, all the time, and don't call themselves artists. And then there are those people who call themselves artists, but never make a lick of art. But who am I to say, you know? Anyway, what a beautiful story, Weiming. If you're listening tonight, I would like to really thank you for sharing it with us. I've been thinking a lot about home lately as an idea, and this story really made me think of home as something that moves with you. I keep picturing it like the way that the painting we just watched come to life, you know, kind of vaguely traveling over the Gobi Desert in sketches, and then finds you in Eastern China, and then again, unformed in Brandon, waiting for your family to join you and put in those final details that make it substantial, that make it your home. It was so interesting to see that painting come into focus, from cloudy sketches to something that you feel like you could jump right into and put your feet on solid ground. Before I leave you tonight, I want to give a special shout out to Javon Harding, who's responsible for all the videography and post-production that you've seen here, both in the Vernacular Spotlights and also in the Art Connects video tours. He joined our team at a time when digital content was so much more important than it ever had been before, and his hard work has really enabled us to give you the beautiful content, like what you saw tonight, that we can really be proud of. So thank you, Javon. We will end there tonight. Don't forget that we still have 2 exciting live events before the exhibition closes March 13th. The rescheduled artist talk with the incredible artist Adrian Stimson at 2 p.m. Thursday, March 11th, and then our closing reception on Friday, March 12th, where we will be passing the figurative torch to the team over at the Red Deer Museum and Art Gallery, as well as enjoying some live music by local musicians Caitlin Baker and Mitchell Mosden. That is right here, starting 7 p.m. on Friday, March 12th. So until I see you next, please have a wonderful evening. Goodbye.